When you work for someone who's famous, the focus of attention is always on them. They're the big name, and you're focused on advancing their mission. In a word, it's never about you. Hey, welcome to Mornings with Bishop Robert. Thanks for joining me on the top spot on the internet for Coffee with a Cleric. You know, my goal is to introduce people to the Jesus they never knew, and then help them get to know Him and His Word personally and better. So if our time together today speaks to your heart, let me invite you to like, subscribe, and of course also share this with a friend. You know, I spent about 10 years working for a former ambassador. He was pretty well known in an amazing number of places, pretty much all around the world. In my experience, working for a famous boss demands incessant flexibility. The range and the scope of projects they're involved in can be absolutely mind-boggling. You can find yourself focused on a healthcare matter one minute and planning a rescue the next. But it actually gets better than that, because I've been appointed an ambassador. Yeah, I have the privilege of working for the King of Kings, the single most famous boss in the world. Whatever I do, no matter who the person is that's signing my paycheck, I try to keep in mind that truly and ultimately, I work for the King, serving an audience of one. He's appointed me to be his ambassador. But guess what? He's inviting you to become one as well. And you can keep your day job. It matters not whether your business card says you're a doctor or a lawyer or a government worker. It makes no difference if the uniform you wear proclaims you to be a garbage collector, a police officer, or a nurse. If you've given your life to Jesus Christ, then you too are called to work for Him and represent His kingdom. Today's verse tells us, whatever you do, work at it heartily, as for the Lord and not for men. Never forget that no matter what other role you may have, you're also an ambassador for the King of Kings. An ambassador is the highest official representative that a head of state can send to another nation. The ambassador represents the full power of the one who sent him and is called to carry the message of his sovereign. The ambassador is expected to subject his personal interests to those of the one who placed him in his role and to serve the interests of the nation or the kingdom that he represents, and do it above all else. And though these responsibilities apply equally to all ambassadors, it should be immediately evident that not all ambassadors are exactly the same, even ambassadors employed by the same nation. For example, if the United Kingdom sends an ambassador to Spain to represent the crown, well, they'd likely select a person who's familiar with the language and the customs and the social interactions of the people who live in Spain. The ambassador would perform his services differently than an ambassador who was sent to Ghana or to China. I mean, the task is no different, nor the interests of the king. Only the methods of accomplishing those tasks and the means of communicating and advancing those interests. As an ambassador for the King of Kings, our task is not so very different. We are His representatives, and whatever we lay our hands to, we carry His message, not our own. We work for His interests, to accomplish His purposes, and build up His kingdom. Now, it helps if we can bring the message to people in places where we're familiar with the language and the customs and the social interactions. That helps us be more effective. Great jobs demand the best of our efforts. So remember for whom you work, and whatever you do, work at it heartily as for the Lord and not for men. We're back at the end of our time. But before we go, can you help me introduce people to the Jesus they never knew and help them get to know him and his word personally and better? Please like this video. It really does help more people see it. And then click that follow or subscribe button so that you and I can get together every day. If you click the link in the description, you'll get a free copy of my book, Count to One, God's Plan for Christian Unity. Hey, one more thing. Share this video with a friend, would you? Because as you do, you're a part of the team, touching hearts all over the world with the love of Jesus. Thanks for helping.